Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 129. This is a special edition, 10-year anniversary of Ben first setting foot in the gym. We go through his top 10 things that he recommends or things that he's learned through his 10 years of experience in the gym that applies not only directly to the gym, but your health, longevity, business, everything else that's equatable to that. So it was a really good episode. I disagreed with Ben on every single point and topic because he's totally wrong. I don't view his perspective in any way, shape, or form, but I'm just kidding. Great podcast, great discussions, and learn from one of the best when it comes to 10 years of consistency and impressive gains in not only from his health, but also in his business.
You know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
I was recording of myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Health Podcast. Anyway, welcome to episode, I think, 129. Ben and Dave back in the hot seat. What's going on, dude?
Yo, what's up? Been doing a lot of travel. We're doing a catch-up one this week because it's actually Monday, February 5th, and this is getting released tomorrow. So this is fresh out of the hopper.
Yes, and I actually have a plan today, which is at least good.
You do have a plan today. I showed up today. I'm like, hey, what are we talking about? So it's good because I've been traveling a ton, and all last week I was gone. We had our sales kickoff, and then I had some photo shoots or video shoots for a segment I'm doing for something in New York City. That was some
more super secret stuff that we can't.
More super secret stuff we can't talk about, but it's been fun. And so yeah, I'm back to the swing of things. Got a good workout in this morning. And here at Trust Tech headquarters, I just being a building owner as well, it's not just having a building. You also I just got the electricians in to do a Tesla charging station outside, so I had to kind of do the final details and the pin and get it out to everybody. And it's been a good day. Good day so far.
Good, nice. So how was your travel? Good. What lessons from travel and working out while managing yourself in a calorie deficit? Top 3.
Listen, I will tell you that I got really lucky with the gyms because both gyms that I was at were very nice, and they had plenty of ample equipment and weights for me to go and do things. So I still got all my lifting in. I didn't skimby in one bit on any of my lifts last week while I was traveling. And I would say, the biggest thing is, I'm still eating 3,000 calories. So it's still really easy for me to eat 3,000 calories, while I'm traveling, which is great. So, I stuck to, Whole Foods most of the time I was out there. Went to a couple steak places, had some good dinners. It's funny.
That one steak place that you sent me looked elite.
Dude. So this place is called, I think, the Seafire Grill in New York City. Oh my God. One of the best steaks, and had steak and lobster on top of it. It was probably the best steak I've had in a very, very long time, minus my own, of course. But
Of course.
But it was incredible. So that Seafire Grill, fantastic. And one of my buddies had the sea bass, and I tried that, and it was the best sea bass I've ever had in my entire life, period.
Okay.
So, definitely.
I'm going to be in Cleveland a couple of days in between being in Phoenix both times. Are you going to make me a steak when I'm there? Because I feel like you've probably a few iterations different than the last time I had steak.
Yep, you definitely have to get the secret recipe has been improved tenfold since then. So,
cool.
But no, good. And I would say that the 3 things, staying consistent with the lifting, even with different types of equipment, just getting your workout in the best you can and blowing the muscles out the best you can. 2 would be sticking to Whole Foods when you go out. It's funny when I go and I look at a menu, I don't even look at the pastas or whatever. I look just right, what do we have for proteins? What's my protein options here? Is it chicken? Is it steak? Is it fish? And what has the most amount of protein in it that I can get?
And can I get double?
And can I get double the protein? Right. And it's funny because I've been struggling lately because a few like a year ago when I'd go to the any airport, there would always be protein shakes in the the stores in the
the Hudson News, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so you go post security, you can't bring protein shakes in with you, obviously, because it's a liquid. And so I'd always go to the stores right afterwards, and I've been finding that either A, they're completely out of protein shakes, so you don't have them at all, or B, it's the Fairlife 24 gram protein or 25 gram protein, so I have to get 4 of them, and they're $7,000. So it's I'm really struggling to find post protein security protein. So now what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start carrying protein powder on me just as a byproduct because I can't find enough protein when I'm
So
going through.
this is the move. This is what we'll do, right? We'll start a vending machine company for just protein only, protein only products, and we'll put them in every airport.
See, while I think that is an amazing idea, I don't think that will work very well here in the United States because like no one cares about protein in the United States except for like a very small percentage.
If they've sold out
We'd
every
be
time you
catering
try
to,
and
like,
go get
the
them,
top 2% of people that actually care about getting the protein intake.
fine. At least you'll get yours.
Yeah, at least I get mine. I mean, we should definitely start this up and just put it in Cleveland, Ohio as a pilot, and then we make all of our money back because I'd be buying it all the time.
Cool, fair. And how's the deficit going for you?
Good. So I started off the 253 was my max weight, and right now I'm sitting at 232. So over 20 pounds of weight loss in this deficit, and it's funny because when I'm in the surplus, I hate food because I'm eating so much of it, and I feel big and energetic and strong. And then when you start to lose the weight, you're like, man, my arms don't look as big. Like, am I losing size in my arms? And then I'm starting to look really like thin, and like I don't know if I like this. I don't want to go back to like being bulky again. So I'm like going through like these weird emotional spurts right now where I'm like,
it's an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. I 100%. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. No, things are good with me, dude. I have just been head down, getting work done. I've actually really nailed my daily routine. So I sat down at the end of last year and basically just reevaluated all my stuff. And like this year, I don't want to say it's been a breeze, but I've definitely nailed like my work blocks. Like get a block of work in the morning done before Harper gets up, take her to school, have breakfast or take her to school, whatever, come back, get another block of work done, go to the gym, go back, and then have got my days have ran really well. And I feel like I've been spinning many more plates than I usually have. So things are good on that front. Obviously we have the Phoenix event coming up in 3 weeks time, which is exciting. So I've just been finalizing all the bits and pieces for that, trying to keep all the secret stuff secret and trying not to tell everybody all the stuff that nobody knows. But I'm really looking forward to that. Obviously, it's going to be our biggest event yet, which is going to be cool. But aside from that, I fly out to Phoenix next Friday, which reminds me we need to record some podcasts before then.
Just a few.
Yeah. So I fly out next Friday. I'm going to the WLPC event in Phoenix, ironically, beforehand. Then I'm obviously going to fly and see you for a couple of days. And then I'm going to fly back to Phoenix for our event. So yeah, it's just been a case of head down, get all that done, make sure everything's good in terms of clients, make sure the secret stuff is being managed, and just I've been getting my training. I've probably been more consistent with my training than I have in a long time because I put that on my high priority list. I've been doing like 5 or 6 days a week. I've been doing 45 to 60-minute sessions, and I actually feel good. Like I said last week, I'm not the strongest I've ever been. I'm not the biggest I've ever been, etc. But this is the most consistent I've been in a long time of actually going in and getting the sessions on. I did realize one thing today, though. I was like, right, if I train 6 days a week, it takes me 20 minutes to drive to the gym. That's 40 minutes per session. That's essentially 3 hours of my week spent driving to and from the gym. That is something that needs to change. That is something that I need to take control of, because that is, in my eyes, time that could be better spent elsewhere. More on that at another time. But anyway, yeah, things are good. Long story short, things are good. Yesterday, I celebrated 10 years since the first day I ever walked into the gym, which is...
Think about that. If you never stepped in the gym, we would never been friends.
Listen, so many things. Like I can't even comprehend. Like I've absolutely no idea what my life would have been like if I never actually started in the gym that day and actually stuck to it. And that's obviously what I want to talk about today. Like 10 things that the gym has taught me over the past 10 years. And lessons how I've been able to carry them into life and business and things like that, because I think there's a lot of value in that. And I think I will say I posted that quick reel of like progress photos over the past 10 years. Number one, that took me infinitely more time than I thought it was going to. I literally have like 120,000 photos on my phone going back 10 years to pick out photos of essentially me with my top off in a mirror and then put them in order on the other side. It was
on Twitter.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know if it was worth it. It took me far too long. It took me probably about 5 hours yesterday. So speaking about things that time could have been better spent, but I think it was a good milestone to recognize, because I mean 10 years of committing to something, like I have never committed 10 years of my life to anything else but this, so a milestone in itself. So today we're going to talk about the lessons that has taught me over 10 years. You can agree or disagree with me. I want to sort of elaborate on them.
Just disagree with every single one.
Nope. No. We'll use it almost like, the way, maybe not in the same context, but the way Jocko uses the lessons that he learned in the battlefield and how it applies to business. We'll do it in that sort of format, but we'll use the gym instead of the battlefield.
Yeah.
The first one is the ability to put the work in blind faith with no reward. Because if you think about it, whenever you're training, like whether it's 3 months or 6 months or whatever, like you can go through extended periods of time putting the work in, day out, with like no instant gratification, in just the hope that the thing works at the other side.
What's crazy about that is when I first started actually training in the gym, I was like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this effective? What happens if I'm doing all of this work for nothing? It's not going to work because I'm doing this wrong. What is this? When you go into something that you have no idea about, and you just, your brand spanking new, and am I doing the form right? And am I going to get injured? Like all this stuff goes to your head, and there really is a lot of blind faith because you even if you aren't doing it right at first, you're still putting your muscles under tension. You're still going to get muscle mass. You're still going to have progress, even though it might be a little bit slower if you're an expert in this, I guess. But at the same time, though, like you start to gradually understand and develop, a connection with your muscles and what you're doing, and you get better and better and better with more practice, which is how humans learn, right? When we go into something the first time, it's always funny watching my kids try to do like a sport for the first time or do something they've never done before. And it's like the first time they just fail miserably and they're horrible at it. Like Mason and I went to Orange Theory Saturday, and Mason was trying to do for the first time Bulgarian split squats, and he looked like it did not look good. He's like all over the place. His arms are flailing, and his balance is all messed up. He's getting frustrated. But by the time he got to like the third set, he was pretty good stabilized. He actually looked a lot better, and he had improved drastically from the first time he actually did it, right? And I think that's the same concept behind the gym, which is you're going there and you're putting the time in. That's the most important thing, and then being consistent with it, right? And then eventually things will happen. It has to happen. It's how our bodies work. And so even if you're doing things wrong or improper, you're still putting the time in. You're still getting a sweat. You're still being active. You're still putting your muscles under tension. You're still going to grow muscle. You're creating that stimulus. So, I mean, it just might be a little bit slower, but you're still going to get results down the road. You just have to believe in it and believe that if I stay consistent with something, my results will be better than when I first started off with this, right?
Yeah, agree. And if we relate that to business, like you have this idea of I'm going to start this business, I'm going to do all this stuff, and hopefully it will be a success at some point. And you just turn up every day and do the work that you think you should be doing in the hope that it's going to be the thing that's going to make your business successful.
It's crazy because, you don't always think about the past all the time, right? I don't live in the past. I live in today, and I live in the future, and I look forward, right? But sometimes you have to reflect in the past. You have to think about, how things were drastically different, when I first started Trusted Sec to today, right? And I remember, sitting in, I just started Trusted Sec, and we got this tiny building. It was like a hole in the wall. It's basically as big as my office is today. My whole company office was as big as, and I was only employee anyway, so it didn't matter. We got this like really cheap, dinky, desk from Office Max, and it was like a $150 desk and some really cheap chair that my dogs eventually end up eating anyway. But and that was my office. But I was so proud of that moment because now I was just starting off with something that I knew would be special in some way, shape, or form if I put the right time in, right? And
the official first Trusted Sec HQ,
the very first Trusted Sec HQ, it was like literally a hole in the walls right next to the HVAC system. So like the whole room would rattle whenever the HVAC system would come on, and it was like there's no windows whatsoever. So I was like in the dungeon of this place. And
proper hacker style.
It was like literally the best hacker spot you can possibly imagine, right? And I had a little fridge in there with some beer and like a little couch, and it was like, hey, I got beer in my office. I could do that now because it's my office, and look at that beer sat there.
I'm living the dream. Look at me living in the dream.
The beer is probably still in that fridge. I never drank it, but I still had beer in the fridge, so and it was like those early stages of things that forged where we are today, right? And you have to look at that and say, well, it's been 13 years, since that day, and it's been 13 years of hard work. And I never would have. I remember when Aaron and I would have conversations about like how big do we want to grow Trusted Sec, and binary defense was always in the vision too. How big do we want to grow binary defense? And then we said like once we got to like 20 people, we'd be good. And now we have almost over 400 employees worldwide between both companies, and it's going to be much larger than that next year. I think we're adding like 150 people, so it's going to be like 500 people plus. It's insane to think about, right? And it's not stopping, it's not slowing down. And That's all because, you're able to say, I see something here that I can do that could potentially be big here, right? If I put the right things in place. And it's that forward thinking. And I think what a lot of people have trouble with is, and I still struggle with this too, is all of the distractions out there that circumvent that long-term goal. Like the gym's a great example. If I don't go to the gym consistently, well, I'm not going to get the results. So if you want to have that long-term goal, you got to be consistent with the gym to get to that goal. But our life throws us a bunch of different curveballs with, deaths in the family, kids issues, too much stuff going on at work, sports, whatever. There's all these things that are going on in our lives that are distractions, but there has to be, it's funny because I was when I was recording this photo shoot, one of the ladies there said, I said, hey, can we wrap this up soon? I only have a little bit of time to go get my workout in before I have to go for dinner to meet some customers and some friends. And she's like, oh, you look great already. You don't need to go to the gym. I'm like, oh, no, you don't understand. Like, I have to go to the gym today.
It's
like,
not an option. I have to go. I appreciate the compliment, but I have to go.
The compliment, but there's not a chance that I'm not going to the gym today. Like, it has to happen today. And she's like, oh my gosh, that's consistency. I'm like, or she's like, that's dedication. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I have to do. Like, if I don't, I'm freaking out.
It's like whenever you like are moving something, or like you move a sofa or something, and there's that comment of the person that's like, oh, I don't need to go to the gym today. I'm like, because I moved the fucking sofa at 5 feet. Like, no, I still need to go fucking gym.
No, I'm going to the gym. Trust me. It's happening. So either I'm out of here in 15 minutes or I'm out of here in 15 minutes. Like,
but I think that just what you were saying about trusted tech and the time there leads me into the next point. It's essentially looking over a longer time horizon. Everybody, especially whenever it comes to what I do, everybody wants it in 6 weeks or 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Like if I think about a 10-year time frame and where I started versus like where I am now. Whenever I started, I think it was 158 pounds or 159 pounds. I think the heaviest that we got up to at the end of last year was like 234 pounds. So like 75, 6, 7, 8 pounds of a difference. Like you cannot do that in a yeah. I'm literally almost like 50% more of myself than I was back then. But looking at it over that longer time horizon, now I'm not going to sit here and say that I thought about that whenever I first started. Like at the start, I was like, I got in relatively good shape pretty quickly because I was just skinny fat. So I just went to skinny and I could see my abs. And I was like, oh, fucking gym guy, I've nailed it. But as I sort of developed and as, I grew physically and mentally, like the goals changed and it developed over time, like thinking about how much can I actually get done in a 10-year time frame. And that exactly to your point about trusted tech and where it was 13 years ago to essentially the building, the HQ that you're standing in now.
Yeah, it's that forward thinking that, and it's not like it ever grows. Like, so the way I like to look at things is here I am today, right? And today I've had a lot of great success and have a lot of great people working here at Trusted Tech and Binary Defense. But I'm here today. I'm still looking 5 years down the road, 6 years down the road, 7 years. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what 7 years down the road means. But I know if I'm doing the right things here to continue to grow the company, that trajectory will continue to move up, right? And it's always, innovating with new products or services. That is, making our processes better. Or how can we make tweaks to, stay up with the latest that's going on with AI and ML? Or, how do we, stay innovative in a market that's continuously changing, right? So you have to be continuously evolving. There's never a stopping point. And that's what I think scares me the most is a fear of like where I just get too comfortable with things. And I don't stay consistent with what I know has brought me a lot of success. And, again, I get a ton of distractions every single day. And it's funny because like I can only prioritize, X amount a day because that's all I have. Like I only have X amount of hours in a day that I can give to something. But there might be 15 hours of things that I have to get done in an 8-hour window or a 10-hour window, but it's not going to get done because I can't do it. So I have to prioritize what those are. And I always have to look at things of like, hey, yes, they kind of need my help here, but they'll get it done regardless if I don't help. But I have all these other things, so they're going to figure it out. And so
because they have to,
because I can't dedicate the time to do that.
Yeah,
and it's those decisions that I think you really have to kind of focus on in your life to keep with the important things that you're doing, whether it's the gym, whether it's your business, whether it's working for a company or your organization or accelerating your career, whether it's with your family. So last week is another good example. And this is not a long-term goal thing, but it's about doing the right things that are important, having the forward-looking things out there. I was having some really bad sleep issues for some reason, and I just couldn't fall asleep. And it was a Saturday, so it was I had been traveling a ton, got home Friday, couldn't sleep at all, and I was just dead. Actually, sorry, it was Friday that we went out. So I had gotten home Thursday night from traveling, and I was so exhausted. I didn't sleep. I slept like an hour and a half. And then I had a really busy day in front of customers Friday, so I was exhausted. As soon as I get home, we had tickets to go to Airsoft, which is a highly intense physical activity where you're running around, you're sweating. Man, I was gassed. I had nothing left in me, and I'd worked out in that morning too, so it wasn't like I was like slacking. I'm still working out, and so I'm just tired. But you know what? I already had a commitment to my family, and it was important. So I went, and I probably didn't play as best as I probably should. I still lit up a bunch of kids. It was great. But
still had some fun.
Still had some fun. But but it was something that was important that I had to kind of overcome. And that type of mindset you have to have, I think, in life. Even when you're tired, you're down, you're rugged, you still have to do the things that are important to you to accomplish, to get done. It's just the biggest things.
Yeah, and I mean, I know I said I have planned this, but your transitions here, you're absolutely nailing them. So let's keep it up. The next one I have written down is strong body, strong mind. So you still having the strong mindset to go and do those things because it's something that's important to you, but also important to those around your family and things like that. I don't know which comes first whenever it comes to strong body, strong mind. I just know that me as a physically stronger person now, I have a stronger mindset. And I don't know whether it's just a case of I did personal development in terms of like developing my physical self in the gym. And I've also done the mental side of personal development, but I definitely think it boils down to the two go hand in hand. Like even if I think about right now versus a few months ago, like at the minute, as I said, I'm the most consistent that I've been in terms of the sessions and getting stuff done. I'm not necessarily the strongest, but I am most consistent in that. So I feel good. So that feel good allows me to be mentally strong as well, which allows me to sort of handle and manage and overcome any potential challenges that come my way. So I think strong body, strong mind is something I have always said. I still to this day can't tell you which comes first. Maybe they just both appear at the same time. Maybe you need one to get the other. Don't know. But definitely I think that's something that I have learned from the gym for the past 10 years.
I would say, at least in my opinion, strong mind comes first because you have to have the mindset in place to have a strong body, right? And the way that I look at this is that maybe I had a strong mind before, but my mind wasn't geared towards the right stuff. Like, I was going through the gym, I was going through doing things, but I wasn't eating consistently. I wasn't focusing on my health and nutrition.
You were eating consistently. That was the problem.
Eating way too consistently, to be honest. Eating all the time, but I think once my mind shifted towards something that I could focus on and home in on, one of my traits, that I have as a human being, and is I think similar to a lot of people. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I get obsessed with certain things, and that obsession is something that I have to be the best at least the best that I can be at that. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the best in the world, doesn't mean I'm going to be best in somebody else, but the best that I can possibly be with the things that are important. So when my mindset shifted towards my body and my health, it was amazing how the other things kind of went in place, and they're synergistic. There's no question. So once I had a stronger body, my mindset became better. I felt better about myself. My entire body's feeling better. My mind is feeling better. My brain, fog is gone. I have energy for my family. So they're very synergistic in nature. But I think the biggest thing with that is that you have to look at it and you have to make the plunge and do it and be consistent with whatever you're doing. And whether that, people in our industry typically, a lot of folks have like ADHD. A lot of folks have trouble focusing because there's so much stuff we have to deal with, and we have to switch. I remember when I was coding all the time, I would literally be coding for like 8 hours at night till like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning or during the daytime. And I'd have to then talk to like an executive or somebody that knew nothing about coding. And my mind was in such a technical rabbit hole that I had to it was like mentally exhausting for me to actually have to switch my whole gear of my mind to start talking at a normal level, not in a coding language. Right. And I remember just like going home and just being like absolutely exhausted. And the last thing I wanted to do was go to the gym or work out or have any energy for anything, because everything I was doing was in my computing power of my brain. And, again, going back to the first two that we've talked about, and now this one, there has to be consistent things that you do that allow you to still make progress, both in your health, your longevity, as well as your mindset and what you do to get better. Like coding is such a short sprint in your lifetime in comparison. But again, think of it from a coding perspective. If I start a new prototype today and I work on that prototype every day for the next 5 years, I may have an amazing product, right? But the first time I start, it's going to be totally crap because it's a prototype, right? It may do something. Like the first version of Social Engineer Toolkit was like just a mailer. It was like a spam mailer, and then it got into, Java applet attacks and everything else. Those types of things that take time of progress, research, and things don't come overnight. It's time and consistency no matter what you do. But again, it's having that drive to be able to stay consistent with it and being interested in doing that, because our minds we've talked about this a lot on how hard it is for our minds to finally shift to liking working out. It's an actual change in our brain that occurs, and it's well documented through a number of research papers. But our brains fight us on going to the gym, at least initially, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's a habit now. We're cool. I like this. This is neat. All of a sudden, you like it again, right? And even today, like I worked out this morning, and it was a chest and back day, and I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. It was just I was sore as shit from yesterday, from the workout that I did. It was Sunday I did the workout. It wasn't Saturday. It was yesterday that I did the workout with Mason. And I did a really heavy legs day that Saturday. I was wrecked on legs. And then Sunday I did a 90-minute thing with Mason to go work out. So I was just exhausted. Like my body felt it. And I got to the gym today, and I'm like, I'm not going to the gym. Like I'm gonna go there. And so my mindset was there. Now my body wasn't there at that point, but I still got to work out. But it's a consistent aspect of things in your life that are important to make sure you go and do. And was it the best workout I could have gotten? No, because I wasn't fully recovered. But I wasn't injuring myself, but I needed to be there because it's a consistency thing. I'm going to make progress no matter what.
Yeah, agree. I think that sort of leads into the next one as well. Like, I think the biggest realization I had probably within the past 12 months is sometimes whenever it comes to the gym specifically, there are times that you can push it and times that you will have to pull back. But the thing is about still consistently showing up. So last year, I didn't make the most progress I could have made in terms of the gym and training, but I made hell of a lot of progress in literally every other aspect of my life. I still went to the gym. I was still consistent with it. I still showed up and got it done, whether I was just going through the motions or taking the boxes or just going in and training shoulders and arms 3 times a week. I was still there and I was still doing the thing. So it's understanding that it's okay that sometimes it takes a back seat in terms of priorities, and maybe family or work or business or studies or whatever the thing is that you're doing takes a priority in that time, but you still have to show up and do the thing. So understanding what your like bare minimum non-negotiables are of getting steps in, getting your cardio in, getting your gym sessions in, or whatever it is, understanding that it's okay just to tick those things off, because in the grand scheme of things, you're still doing more than the majority of the world's population. But it's about keeping that habit and consistency, because this is where people come back and they're like, oh, I fell off the wagon. I was like, well, if you just had have like kept one foot on the fucking wagon, you probably would be in a much better position than you are now.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I mean, we've talked about this a ton, but if you look at like, I think the grand scheme of everything that we talk about, from starting off and getting into the gym to rep ranges, to, progressive overload, it's always refining what you're doing over time on what you've already built upon. And, I always struggled with my own, things, and I still do today. Like we were having a conversation before we started the podcast on this cutting phase. I feel like I've gotten weaker. And I'm like, I feel like I'm getting weaker, like it is, and we're like, well, you're on a cutting phase. You're definitely not having as much calories as you used to. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But I feel like I'm getting weaker. So, but, and it's also like learning, it's funny because I'm doing kind of a different split now, right? I'm doing chest and back, I'm doing shoulders and arms, and I'm doing legs. And I don't know if that's going to work, but it's all about having confidence in yourself and believing in yourself, and how those different things work over time to build, what you're actually learning, and knowing that, you have confidence in everything that you're doing will have some sort of effect one way or the other. And guess what? In 6 months, if I haven't gained any muscle, I know something's wrong, right? Like I need to switch something out.
Well, I would say as well, like just you talking about refining things and sort of to the point about pushing and pulling, like only up until the past, I would say maybe 2 months, have you shortened down your workouts. Like you've always threatened to do it, but never actually done it. But now that they're much shorter and more efficient, it's like, okay, right, I'm being a little bit more effective and efficient with my time spent in the gym that will allow me to put time into other things. You're still getting it done and you're still working hard in that time, but you're not spending 2 or 3 hours doing deadlifts every other day.
You know, it's funny. I just saw a video with Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler's like, I don't understand the people that are in the gym for 2 or 3 hours. He's like, man, I was the best there possibly could be from a bodybuilding perspective. I was one of the greats, and I would spend maximum 45 minutes to an hour every day in the gym. And I'd only work out 5 days a week. Now, granted, Jay's got some amazing genetics and things like that too. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you can definitely still build muscle in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
you can definitely get stronger in 45 minutes to an hour. In fact, that's all you probably need to be able to do to hit that muscle stimulate growth. In fact, if you're probably going over that, it's probably damaging yourself and making it a lot harder for recovery. So, you know, like I've really started to attest to sticking with the 45 minutes. It was actually funny. I'll tell you today, I was in the gym, you know, and again, it wasn't one of those days where I was, you know, having a great time, but I was still, you know, I got like midway through and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get a groove here. I can start to feel a little bit. And then like, you know, it was like 50 minutes went by. I'm like, I'm done. I feel like I've cheated here. Like I should still like get like 7 more sets in of something, you know? So I knocked out a couple quick burner sets, but it was like, oh, for 5 minutes, you know, but I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, this is it. This is all I got to worry about. I don't have to be here for 3 hours to go and do this. And I sent you the block I did this weekend for legs, and it wasn't that long. Like it was an hour-long set of legs, and I was destroyed. Like I could barely get up my steps, and I'm still feeling it today. So, you know, it is plenty of time, you know, refining what you do and getting better at what you do and more efficient is huge.
Yeah, and I think the thing about that is like, I know I can get in and do those sessions in like 45 minutes to an hour. But on the other side of that, if I want to stay for an extra half an hour and do something additional, I can absolutely do that if I have the time. So it's like understanding that, okay, this is the non-negotiable, is stuff that I have to do. If I have more time and I want to just train arms for half an hour after, cool, I did. On the Jay Cutler thing, the next point is about who you listen to and who you take advice from. Maybe Jay Cutler's in the extreme, but what I have written down is unless they have done it, don't listen to them. And I think that this should be like everything in life. This isn't just about training or business. I think unless someone has done the thing and been there themselves or has experience or walked the walk in the thing, don't fucking listen to them. Don't fucking take advice. Like, don't be taking business advice from someone who doesn't run a business. Don't be taking financial advice from someone who doesn't have good finances. Don't be taking health and fitness advice from someone who is not or has not been in shape. Like that, I can't stress that one enough.
Oh, where do I even go with this? You know, the unsolicited form feedback assholes that I have to deal with on a regular basis.
Set you up for it.
God, like it's just, you know, you look at them and you're like, dude, you're not in great shape. You're nowhere near what I'm competing in, and your advice may be very well solid. Like I had somebody the other day, I posted a picture of me with a skull mask for airsoft, and it's like the thing that you see from like Ghost from Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's badass, you know. It's like this little skull thing, you know, and of course I'm going and I'm basically shooting a bunch of 15, 16-year-old kids with airsoft guns with this scary ass mask. It's amazing, right? But you know, it's like fun and we have a great time. Like it's such a great culture. Like I mean, they're so friendly. People are just, you know, like, you know, it's obviously an honor system. You get shot, you're like, I'm out, you know, and everybody just does a great job. But when someone's like, oh, that skull's so stupid, I'm like, bro, you don't even airsoft, first of all. Second, do you even know the reference from Ghost?
Do you even airsoft, bro?
Do you even airsoft, bro? You know, and you know, it's those types of things where you're like, you know, I'm not offended, you know, because that's their opinion, that's fine. And but you're not doing what I'm doing here. And by the way, I spent 5 years in the Middle East, you know, in 2 wars, and you know, I kind of earned the ability to like wear a cool ass ghost outfit, you know, and if I didn't, it doesn't matter anyway. You can wear a ghost outfit whenever you want to. That's the great part about this. But you know, it's the people that are the most vocal that have the least amount of experience in my perspective. Like if I'm giving somebody advice, it's because they've asked me for advice. If I see somebody that's out there and it's something I disagree with, I'm not telling them I disagree with them. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh my God, you're so wrong with this. That's not who I am. Like they may have a different perspective or a different view on life or something that has happened in their life that gives them that perspective and that opinion. So it's not for me to say you're right or wrong in certain cases when that occurs. So for me, it's really about helping others and having them understand. If somebody asks me for advice, I might tell them, like someone asked me the other day about biking equipment. I'm like, I have no idea about anything biking equipment related. Like I understand like I'm in this whole fitness thing, but like when it comes to bikes, I hate bikes. I hate riding a bike. It's the most boring thing in the world for me.
All you have to do is stick your iPad on and watch cooking videos, dude. Like honestly, it's absolutely fine.
Pro, and you can be like all good with it. But listen, it's not that I have anything against bikes. Like, cool that you have a biking thing, but I just don't like bikes. Like, bikes aren't for me.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to give advice saying, "Oh my god, like you should go with this bike," because I just Googled it. I saw a YouTube review, and it was like the best bike that you could ever possibly. I don't know anything about bikes.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about a topic. Why are you saying like, "Hey, you shouldn't lift heavy," or you're getting too big, or you're going to injure yourself? I'm not injured. Like that's a proper deadlift. Like, what are you talking about? Anyways,
I think it's a for who thing. Like it comes back to the next point you mentioned, perspective. The next point is perspective. It's maybe you are getting too big for someone who doesn't want to get big, or maybe you are lifting too much weight for someone who doesn't want to lift too much weight, or maybe we work too much for people who don't want to work too much. Like that's fine, but that does not affect me in any way, shape, or form, and I will continue to do all the shit that I want to do. So. The lesson that I have written here is about perspective is key. And the reason that I've put this in is it's understanding what the things are for, essentially. So essentially, the way I broke it down was going to the gym to lift weights to build muscle and managing your calories as the thing to lose body fat. So understanding the difference between I don't like the idea of going to the gym to lose weight. Like I like the idea more of going to the gym to build muscle. You can lose weight or lose body fat by managing your calories on the other side. Yes, they do go hand in hand, but I think the perspective of going to get stronger in the gym is much better than I'm going to this place to lose weight.
Yeah, and perspective, as you mentioned, is everything, right? Everybody's view on reality is completely different. I saw it was a video, and it had a visual up there, and it was a bunch of people chanting something in the background, and it's escaping me. It's irrelevant to the topic, but it was a classroom setting, and when you hear the chant and you see the words on the screen, it sounds exactly what they're chanting. He's like, "Well, what about this?" And he flips the page. There's a new word up there, and it's the same chant, and it sounds exactly like what the person said in the chant. And then he did another one. He did like 15 or 20 different words that sounded just like the same chant, and my brain registered the chant as what was on that screen, right? Visual and audio. And he's like, our perception of reality is what we perceive as reality, not what is actually reality, right? And that's the thing I think that we have to be more aware of, is that our own perspective may not be the perspective of the other person, nor may it be right in that person's reality. Cool if you want to be extremely lean and thin and not have a lot of muscle mass. That's your ideal persona. That's great. I want to look like Jack Reacher. Like that's my ideal. He's tall, he's big, and I got a couple more years hopefully to go there. But but I want to look like Jack Reacher. Okay, that's my goal, right? I don't want to walk into the room. That guy's like, holy crap, your dad's big. That's cool. But at the end of the day, like my goals are different than somebody else's. Having perspective on somebody else's, like. Some people don't want to run a business and run the risk of that. Like I YOLO'd a business, and I was, rolled the dice with my family and everything else. And I was like, hey, here we go. Let's do this.
Strap yourself in.
Strap yourself in. We're going 0 to 60 in 2 seconds here. But, but that's a lot of risk for a lot of people that their perspective may be different of, hey, that's too risky for me to go and do something like that. So I think understanding different people, where they come from, who they are, what their objectives are, what they want to accomplish, and having a good perspective of that person would really help, I think, society in general about what's going on today. But just being more understanding of one another.
Yeah, agree. And that, to the point as well about Jack Reacher, like, yes, agree. Like, ID, like that's what we're aiming for. That's what we're going for. But that leads me into the next point, which is comparison. And I think, the quote is, comparison is the thief of joy.
I shouldn't compare myself to Jack Reacher.
No, if you let me speak, I think comparison can be like a double-edged sword. Like it can offer you one of two things. It can either give you like sort of envy and hate of like, oh, it's all right for him, or, he can do this, or he's done that, or, insert whatever fucking bullshit that you want to tell yourself to sort of make yourself feel better as to why you're not in that position. The same comes with business. It's like, oh, it's okay. I can look at your success and be like, yeah, all right for him, because, insert whatever thing. But it can also offer you inspiration, and you can go, well, if he can do that, there's absolutely no reason that I can do it. You can see it as a like, for me, it's like understanding the levels to the game. So it's like, okay, right, I'm playing at this level, but I see that there are many, many more levels up here, and I know that they're available. I just need to work out how the fuck I get there. And it's looking at that. And I'm not one to compare a lot, but I use it in the right ways when the time comes.
Yeah, and I like comparisons in the sense that like I'm impressed by certain people's, like, let's just say body physique, right? Like that's impressive. Like, maybe someday I can get to something like that. Not in a bodybuilder perspective. I'm not gonna be able to do something like that, but something like a Jack Reacher, I think I can get to maybe that size, maybe someday, and continue to focus on just the slow process of building muscle. And I think I'm gonna talk to you about doing a 2-year bulk and see how that goes. But it's I think comparisons can be good and bad, as you mentioned, right? Like, it can be demotivating. It can be toxic, but it can also be, a motivator of things that you want to try to accomplish. I still remember the first conversation I had with you when I joined. And it was, I wanted to be like one of the tonal models that was on there, the tonal trainers. I said, like, this is like a perfect physique for me. And this guy's, of course, like 5'2", and he's like, so a little bit unrealistic, but and he's probably been training for 20 years. So I got a little bit of time to catch up on that, but
I've only got 10 more years to go.
Right. So, but I mean, at the same time, like, it was motivational to me to try to get to that. Right. And I'm very happy with where I'm at today. I'm extremely happy, but I always want to continuously improve.
But I think that feeds back to the perspective point, because you can look at that guy and go, why am I not like that guy? But you don't understand his story. You don't, like, his height is obviously a big part in that, but you don't understand his story, how long he's been training for. You don't understand his background. Did he have a sporting background? Has he been training his entire life? What is his genetics? Like there's so many, like, what level is he playing at? Like, what chapter is he on? How many years has he been training? What type of training has he done? Like, there's no way that you can go, even if it's a case of it's somebody that you grew up with, went to school with, and, you've known your entire life. You have lived two different, in fact, I'll tell you an even better example of that. I used to coach twins. I used to coach Jason and James. One of them was straight out of school, went to the army, lived like an active life in the army, then went and worked on like oil rigs and stuff like that. Worked abroad. The other one went to university, was a teacher. The one that went to the army was much bigger and in much more shape because he had been forced to work out while in the army. And the one who was a teacher was like I was, like, skinny fat at the start. Identical twins. Like apart from their physique, you could not tell them apart. It was hilarious because when I used to coach them in the gym floor, people were like second take, like they moved exactly the same. Like everything about them was different except for their physique. And they literally like are the same person. So it's just like not understanding that they've lived two entirely different lives from after school until that point to be in those different positions is understanding. It gives you the perspective of the progress that they've made.
Absolutely. Fully agree.
Jason, again, talking about, he was one of my first ever clients. Still talk to him quite regularly. So that's the benefit of, I guess I would have been coaching for about 7 years now. So yeah, that's another cool thing that came from this whole thing about me training, job, and people. The next one is environment dictates performance. And I think that this one is on my mind at the minute because of my frustrations that I have with the gym that I train at. I'm not necessarily inspired or motivated by the people around me, which is frustrating because I used to have that. Like when I used to train in Gymco, I was training with Helmy and like I was training with people who were like really taking it seriously. But I know whenever I go and train with Helmy, it's a completely different decision. I know we and I train together, it's a completely different situation. So that to me is the environment, and the performance will come from that because there is potentially a slight level of competition to come with you and I, but whatever. It's more about the being in around right. Yeah. It definitely comes more from your side than my side, but it's about being in the space with the people that want to see you do well, that want to see you improve. Like there's competition with us, but it's not a case of like, it's not seriously like, oh, well, I lifted more than you, screw you, you don't know anything you're talking about. Like it's to push each other on that a little bit more. And I think that the environment thing plays a big piece because I even remember, if I take it right back to whenever I first started like really, really down in my nutrition, I used to work in the juice bar that I used to work in. I remember like standing out the back eating these big, huge Tupperwares of like the most ridiculous food, like raw vegetables and all, because the guy that was coaching me at the time told me to eat them raw, and I'm like spending 45 minutes like trying to chew this like broccoli that hadn't been cooked. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, this is a fucking healthy eating restaurant and you're giving me shit for eating like whole foods. So like that environment, although on the outside in looked like it could have been the space, it wasn't necessarily the space because the people weren't in line with what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I think you can hit this in so many different ways on how you look at this. And I don't know if one of your top 10 is like the people you surround yourself with.
Well, I think environment is that. Like, I think that plays into that.
That's what I was going with that, which is, I think if you're around continuously negative people, or you're around a group that isn't motivating to you, we're very cultural creatures, and we kind of conform to the groups that we're part of. And if that group is continuously negative, or that group is continuously demotivating, or they don't support, like one of the biggest things that I see a lot in Discord a lot, and what we see from a lot of the people, is that their family doesn't bite off on the journey either, the long distance journey, right? Whether it's nutrition or food, whether it's more time away from the family, like an hour a day to go and lift, right? They're apprehensive about that. So if your supporting system, your environment isn't there to help support positivity, growth, that long-term goal, those types of things, it can be very detrimental to your success. And I 100% agree on the gym stuff. Like, that's why I really enjoy having my own gym, because I can kind of go in my own zone and push myself hard, and also share my experiences with people that I like. Like, I'll send you a message like, oh, I just fried my knees or my legs, I just did this or did that, or hey, I just failed on this deadlift. I'm the weakest bitch ever, so it's like, I still have my community around me in an electronic format, but I don't have to deal with all the nonsense, at the gym of people that I really don't want to deal with, right? So my environment is very, very protective. Trusted Tech, my own environment here, right? My own environment at home, my own environment in my gym. I prefer doing that. And when I go to a gym, it was nice because, like, I went to the hotel gym after I got done filming, and it was like 1:00 in the afternoon, and there was nobody there, and it was my own gym, so I was left to my own devices, and I was doing whatever I needed to. Which, by the way, I had this. There's this. I sent you the message about this, but I'll talk about it in the podcast. I found this most amazing ab machine. It's from Hammer Strength.
So when does it arrive?
It's ordered, but I don't know when it's arriving, so it's going to take probably about a month. And I talked to Aaron before I ordered it, by the way, so I got clearance. So thank you all.
Did you send the message to me first or to her first?
Oh no, it's definitely you. and I definitely already ordered it prior to asking for approval, but then I asked for approval, so we're good. So it's fine. But no, it's you put your hands above your head, and your legs are locked in, kind of like a leg extension machine, but it doesn't move. And then the whole machine actually moves with you. So as you're pushing down, you're doing a combination of your own body weight plus the weight stack that's there. It's a weight stack based hammer strength machine, which that was unusual because mostly it's plate loaded. But this was a weight stack, and I'll tell you, my abs were sore for like 3 days afterwards. So I was like, this is the best ab machine I've ever gotten. So I'm very happy to get one of those. But anyways, environment is very important.
But I think even with that, like if we talk, you said about Trusted Tech there, like the environment that you have created and the people within it, like that environment for what you're doing to grow in the company. Like, obviously, when we were in Vegas and we was at the dinner in that prime rib place, like just hearing the people who work for Trusted Tech talk about working for Trusted Tech, like the environment you've created within that, and like the success that comes from that because of the people you've put in it, like that is an environment piece. That's a people piece as well.
Yeah, it is 100%. Totally agree.
Right, 2 to go. Hard work is a transferable skill.
Okay. It's a hard work is a transferable skill.
Yes, and the reason that I say this is like
to other people or to yourself, and
to other areas in your life. So I think about working hard in the gym allows me, or has allowed me, to work hard in other areas of my life. Like, I know that I can do hard things because I have the evidence from spending the time and doing it in the gym. So I just need to be able to transfer that over to, I know I can do hard things in terms of life, decision making, business, family, whatever the thing is. Like, hard work, I think, is a transferable skill.
Yeah, I fully agree. And as I talked about earlier, kind of my obsession thing that I have, right? That's kind of my trigger.
Understatement of the century.
It is. When I get into an obsession thing, it's all in, right? Like, like bourbon, for example. I never an alcoholic, thank God, never had an addiction problem, but like I was very fascinated with bourbon, so I went all in on bourbon. Right now, it happens to be wine. So like I have a little bit of wine here and there, and my CEO from Binary got me into some wine. So like now I'm all like fancy ordering wine now too, whatever, But when it comes to, and I rarely drink, by the way, I actually hate, I've actually gotten to the points where I hate a buzz. I hate being buzzed. Like it makes me tired. I just dislike it. So I'll have like a glass of wine and I'm out. Like that's it. Because otherwise I'm going to go to sleep at like 7:00. Like I just want to go to bed. And so not much drinking going on.
So we're not having any captain sins whenever
we go with captains. So like there's a threshold. So if I'm there with like really good buddies, I could push myself past that tiredness. Okay. And then you go into like now we're having a good time. But like to push myself past that, I have to be there with some good friend. So only a couple times a year. But I'll say like whenever I go into something that I'm passionate about and I want to learn about, I rewire my brain to be basically all in on that, right? And I think that is the hardworking aspect you're talking about, which is if it's a priority to me, why would I not want to put the most amount of effort into something to make it successful, as successful as it possibly could be? Mm-hmm. And you can see this where I have multiple businesses. I have Illinois Alternative Medicine with Emil, another individual who's insanely passionate about that. I help with that. I help with all my other businesses. I have a basketball training facilities now that have 4 new franchises we just opened in the past 2 months. So we have all of these. I have all these different things going because I'm passionate about something. And why did I create a basketball training facility? Well, because my kids, there's no basketball training facility around here, and I wanted my kids to be able to have the option to go and do basketball. So it's like I was a passion of mine, went all in on it, and that's it, right? And I know it'll be successful. So when you go into something all in and you believe in yourself and you're all in on that and you put the hard work in, it will work. It will, because you're going to figure it out, regardless of what it is. And if you don't think you will, you're wrong, because having confidence in yourself and believing in yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's something that is a superhero strength for you, because you will be right 100% of the time if you put your mind to it and you do it.
Agree. And one point, and you've led me into the last point as well. So I sent out today's email for the newsletter, and it was about you. I don't know if you got it or not, or read it, whatever. At the very end of it, I was talking about you and your sort of success, and I literally the last line, the secret ? Dave went all in. So that I know that about you. The last point is you're capable of more than you ever could have imagined, and I think that feeds into you. Like, to me, going all in and training has now allowed me to create a business, and like even with what we're doing, like beyond my wildest dreams of anything I ever could have imagined. And it's just the evidence and the belief in myself that I could have done it. And I always, if I think back, I always had that I knew that I would do something more or be better, or like I had faith, like I had this blind faith in myself that I would be successful in something. I didn't know what the fuck it was. But the evidence of being able to do it in the gym and transform my body and transform my mind and everything that came along with it, it made me realize that I'm capable of much more than I ever could have imagined. And I think that I don't even feel like I'm anywhere near the potential that I have. Like I feel like I'm definitely more on the way than I was a year ago or 2 years ago. But I only would have had that from the gym and everything that it taught me and all the lessons that I've had along the way.
I mean, what a great one to wrap up on with that, because it literally kind of ties everything together, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know how you like. I know you didn't see these. I don't know how we transitioned from each one absolutely perfectly, but it just I think shows how in sync you and I are. We absolutely nailed it. But that's
funny. It's almost like when when I'm like, hey, I think I need to text Erin. She just texts me, right? She knows that like I'm about to text her, so she texts me, or like I'm like, hey, I wonder if Erin needs something from a grocery store, and she doesn't know I'm there. She's like, hey, are you at the grocery store? Because I need something right now. It's like those things that we have the same. I'm not saying we're married, but
close.
If we had
close seconds,
close enough to it, right?
But I think so that's something I wanted to share, because obviously for me a huge milestone in terms of 10 years of training, and I imagine multiple 10 years to come after this. And it's funny because Louise on Twitter replied under the things like, so many abs, you never really had a beer gut, maybe in your 40s. I was like, there's absolutely no way. Like, I'm going to just continue to get better and better and better. So yeah, that's my 10 lessons from the gym.
Well, I think those are good 10 lessons. The only you totally messed up on all of them, but it's fine. Only my perspective makes is valid. But
this environment is awful. I'm out. But yes.
Well, hey, that was a great podcast, man, and congratulations on 10 years of consistency, which ultimately not only changed your health, changed your mind, but changed your life and your business and everything else that came along with it. If you hadn't made that plunge, we wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't have the business yet today. Who knows? I mean, you might have been,
maybe
the most amazing chef ever. Who knows? Whatever the hell you're,
maybe I would have been a fucking hacker. Who knows? Like maybe we could have ended up in this in a completely different way. We never know. But this is where we're at, and this is what we're doing right now.
What if this did? So we could do a what if. Like, what if you didn't come to the gym and you became a hacker? And we became like rival hackers. We hated each other. So it was like we were like arch nemesis of one another.
I'm not really a person to hate people.
I know, me neither. So, but it was just a cool.
So I'll tell you this story, and I didn't share it on the call. So on Sean's Thursday call last week, he was like, he was getting us to sort of like think about someone that we really dislike, and the idea was like go through their characteristics and the thing that annoys you about them, and then find those things about yourself. I was sat there the whole time, and I was like, there's nobody that I dislike enough to really sit down and actually think about them that much to actually put this on paper. Like I'm just not that sort of person. Maybe in the past I would have, but there's nobody that I'm like, I really still dislike that person. Like I'm not that person whatsoever.
It's funny. I don't even have enough brain power to give those people any type of attention that I would care. Too much
other shit going on.
Too much shit going on. I could give two. Like it was actually interesting. Like Aaron, so really quick funny story. This is just to tell you like what people just obsess about. So we're at a volleyball tournament, and one of the girls that Morgan literally grew up with her entire life was on an opposing team. Okay, but this is another team. So she's in one volleyball club. She's a volleyball club. Okay, and that club has another team, and they're playing against this other team, not Morgan's team, but another club team that had the same name. But the daughter of the other person played on the opposite team. So Aaron was still cheering for the club team, but also was cheering for the young girl that literally has slept over our house and, been Morgan's best friend and goes to school with, and, like they're just on different club teams. And one of the parents from the other club team complained to our team that we had a team member that was cheering for the other team. It's like, I'm like, really? That's what you're upset about in life, is someone else cheering for a little girl that is having success that she knows and is friends with, but you just view that as like opposition and you need to destroy that team and that girl. Like, that's ridiculous, right? I don't have enough brain power now. And Erin, she's like, I can't believe someone said, like, honestly, like, don't even let it take any brain space. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, that person obviously is insane. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't require any thinking about, any brain power, anything you need to even worry about in any way. Just let it go. And who cares about that person? It's not impacting you. It's not impacting your daughter. It's not impacting anybody. Let them be
it's a them problem.
It's a them thing. And that's the same thing. Like, people that have, we had issues with like DerbyCon, for example. I don't care about those people. They're whatever. They can be doing everything. I hope they're successful. They're they rely on craziness and latching onto negativity. That's not me. So they're not part of anything I do. I could care less. Yeah. Right. So why even bother?
I did an exercise on the Hacks call today. Basically, we came on and I was like, right, I want you to score yourselves on how you spend these things. And it was calories, time, energy, and fucks. And the last one came in, I was like, for the majority of my life, I was like, I don't give a fuck about anything. But I think in my maturity, we'll call it, like, I give a lot of fucks about a little amount of things. But things like that about like other people and like getting involved, like I just have I just don't compute it. I can't, like, it's just not on my radar by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I give too many fucks about the things that I really do care, and I just don't care about the other stuff.
Nope. Don't care. It's like, I don't have time. I'm doing other things. I'm running multiple businesses. I got family I care about.
Never mind that. I gotta go to the gym. Okay, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I gotta go to the gym. Yeah, Can you complain later? I gotta go to the gym right now.
Right.
Well, hey, thanks for tuning in for an awesome
podcast.
Congratulations, you're 10 years.
Congratulations on 10 years. But no, thanks for listening. Check us out at We Hack Health on all social media platforms. Maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll tell you the secret stuff that we've been up to if you continue to listen.
Coming in soon.
See you next week.